just your average everyday trucker, keeping it real. I'm your host, ChristopherBlodgett, and you're listening to Real Talk Tuesday. This week's topic: back from a much needed break. Hey guys, welcome back, and I'm back. Glad to be back. Apologies about there not being any recordings the past 2 weeks. It was interesting. It was a very much needed break. To my surprise, it actually didn't go 100% the way I expected it to go, but it wasn't bad at all. It was actually pretty good. First couple days, because my VA doc is still technically in Nashville, I've been meaning, obviously, eventually I figure I'll probably switch it up here, but then I was like, I don't know if I will, because I got off that Saturday, the 14th, and got up pretty late, and crashed for a couple hours. Tried to get up at noon, didn't end up getting up until like 2. My wife came in and she's like, "Hun, it's like 2 in the afternoon." It's like, fuck. So I jumped up, got dressed, started packing, grabbed my my duffel bag, started packing stuff. And of course, by that point, I think my kiddo was packing stuff as well because she was gonna go with me. So, and you know how it is. There's always, I probably every trip I've ever packed for. There's always one thing you forget. I think I might have had a couple of, maybe a handful of trips that I actually didn't forget anything, but there's a lot of trips where there's at least one thing that I was like, fuck, that's what I forgot. So it's like, and you'll feel like you'll remember it, like you'll be at your destination at the hotel or whatever, and you'll be like, I feel like I forgot something. Like I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't know what it is. Until you go to try to find whatever it is, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's what I forgot. Well, I went through that. Because I had a hotel reservation, I guess, that was like down the street from where we used to live, just down the street from our previous apartment complex. And we left. I think we finally got on the road at like 3:30 in the afternoon. I wanted to actually leave that morning, but I had worked my regular shift, so I did like the 500-mile round trip, plus the commute between Lenexa and Kansas City, and then the commute obviously from Kansas City back to the house. And I got home like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I went ahead and I took the pup out for a walk. I'd already grabbed McDonald's on the way home, so I'd already grabbed something to eat. And I basically messaged to the family chat because everybody was still asleep. I was like, hey, I got my alarm set for the next 3 hours for like 12:30. Trying to get up and get out of here by 1. Obviously it didn't happen because I didn't wake up till like 2. And I was like, crap. So me and my kiddo, we take off. We get the Silverado packed up, get our stuff in there. I go give the because the wife, I think she was trying to remember. I think she was heading off to work actually. Yeah, because it was a Saturday. I think she had to work closing shift, so she was rolling out by she had to work at like 3, so she was rolling out like 2-ish. And my oldest, I guess she was off, so the great kiddo wasn't even there because he had already headed out of state to spend spring break with his bio dad. So it was literally just me, my kids, and my wife. And my wife was heading out for work, and so basically went down and said, hey, basically said goodbye to my oldest. Said don't burn the house down. Please clean the kitchen a little bit while we're gone, because it's literally just you and mom while me and Bug are gone. She's like, I know. It's like, okay. Of course, that didn't happen. I mean, they might have cleaned, but by the time we got home, things were still pretty messy at home. But it's all good, we're pretty chill sometimes, especially if, when the grandkid was gone and it was pretty light, or pretty relaxed and stuff at home. So, but we got on the road about 3:30, and I wasn't navigating at all. I was literally because I go to St. Louis every 6 days a week, and I pretty much I've done the Nashville leg between Kansas City and Nashville quite a few times. So I kind of know it by heart a little bit. I did use GPS to kind of just help a little bit, but I didn't start it until we got to St. Louis. And, I realized there's apparently 2 sets. There's 2 areas where you get on 64. You get on 64 east, just probably about 10 or 12 miles before I get the exit where I go to FedEx. And I thought that was the way that we normally went, whenever we GPSed our way that way, to go to Nashville. Whenever we go home, we live that direction. So that felt weird too. Me and my kiddo were like, this feels really weird because in the past, usually when we're driving back this direction, it's us going home. We came out here to Kansas to visit, and then now we're going home. But here we're going to Nashville, and we're not going home. We're literally going down there, and we're going to be, then when we come back, we're going to be heading, we're going to be coming back home when we leave Nashville. I was like, that feels really weird. I was like, that feels really weird. I don't know. So I took that first 64, and that's when I started out my navigation, because I was like, I know I'm going the right way, but this doesn't look familiar to me. I know we're on 64, but usually when the route that it normally takes us, when we get on 64 East, usually we cross the bridge in St. Louis and we see the arch off to the side, and we go a little ways down, and we're not on 64 that long before, I think it's an hour, maybe 50 or 60 miles, and then we end up on 57, heading south or whatever. And we were on 64 for probably about 30 or 40 minutes before we started. We ended up seeing the arch. And I was like, okay, I'm a little confused because normally it doesn't take all that long to see the arch. I said, I've only had maybe 3.5, 4 hours of sleep. I want to make sure that I'm going the right way. So I kind of, I went ahead and threw on navigation, and of course it said, yeah, go down there 13, 13, 14, 15 miles, and connect to this road, connect to that road. And once we passed the arch, and then we ended up staying in the right lane, to branch off on 64, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, I recognize where we're at now. And I still was kind of confused because I was like, that just looked really weird. I don't know why that looked different. But then when whenever we ended up coming back, 64, the navigation basically brought us the way that we normally would in the past, and we ended up crossing the bridge, saw the St. Louis Arch off to the side, and then when I saw the exit numbers, it was like 20 miles past where I get off to go to the FedEx hub that I normally go to. So then we basically were still going west to go towards Kansas City, but we went like 15, 20 miles before we passed. It was at least, I would say it was at least 20 or 30 miles before we passed where I got onto 64 on the way there, and I'm like, I see what I did. Okay. I was like, I didn't know there were two areas that you could get on 64. One on the east side, one on the west side. Apparently, like, I got on the, I guess it would have been the west side of St. Louis, I guess. When normally when we're coming back, we're getting on 64, or we're getting off 64 onto 70 on the east side of St. Louis. So I was like, huh, okay, that makes sense. I got it now. Because, and then of course I found out after we got back that I got a message from the VA basically saying like you actually you qualify for mileage reimbursement. Really? Okay. So I went ahead and, I submitted, when I'm on my VA app or whatever, logged in and went ahead and submitted the claim. So I was like, how much do I get back, I wonder? And of course it said because it says the mileage is like over 1,000 miles, obviously because it's like 540 or something, miles each direction. So it said like 1,080, and it said like mileage pay like 475 or something. I'm like, really? Shit. I was like, I'm not gonna complain about that. Cause hell, the hotel for 3 nights was like a little over, with the discounts and stuff, a little over $400. I was like, well, shit. If I'm gonna, now I'm hoping, because I put the, I just got my disability with the VA, by the 1st, and I got paid just the disability. I didn't get the additional for the mileage yet. I don't know if that's, I assumed it was going to come with that same payment, but maybe it's separate. Well, I guess definitely it's separate, but I don't know if it's, like it takes a certain amount of time or what, because I was kind of like, hey, that extra will definitely help with some of the extra bills or whatever, But that made me go, well, shit, I'll just leave my VA doctor in Nashville and, take time off to go see my VA docs. My script's get it delivered anyway, so it's like, as long as I'm not having to, get anything like get seen urgently or whatever, and I'm just doing the every 3 to 6 months blood work and all that stuff to try to work on the health. If I'm getting reimbursed for mileage at that rate, I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll just keep that, because that, gives me a reason to take time off work and travel, travel a little bit, get a hotel for a few days or a week or whatever, and just try to relax and unwind and stuff. So, but so yeah, I think we got within like half an hour from Nashville. I think at that point it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, man, my goal when we were getting down there was I was really hoping to leave early, get down there at a decent time, while certain restaurants that we used to eat out while we're down there were still open, and be able to go get like tacos and, go eat at this Mexican place down the street. But of course we were getting down there like, it looked like we were going to get down there like 11 o'clock or something. I was like, yeah, they're going to be closed. Might have to just find one of those places that's like open 24 hours or open late or whatever. But then we hit there's like a major car pileup, so we were stuck in traffic for like 2 hours. So when we finally got past that accident, we got into Nashville at like was like 1:40 in the morning, and we were both starving at that point. We're like, yeah, we want to find food. I was like, well, let's go check into the hotel first, because I said we'd already paid for our room, because they called me like that afternoon and basically were like, yeah, we see you have a reservation with us. We need to take the payment for the room so we don't give it away. And I'm like, why would you give it away? It's like, I have a reservation with you. You know, that doesn't make sense. But I was like, yeah, here, we'll unlock my card, go ahead and take the payment. And all right, cool. And I was like, we're going to be there late. Is that going to be a problem? Like, no, you already paid for your room, so it doesn't matter when you get here. Just check in and we'll give you your room key and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, yeah, I was like, I overslept, so we're in Missouri now, but we're headed your direction. She goes, okay, cool. We look forward to you staying with us. I'm like, I look forward to it too. And eating the getaway or whatever. So it was like 1:45. We decided, like, before trying to get food, we figured, well, let's go check in. Get checked into the hotel room really quick, and we stayed at that hotel the night before, or the night that we were trying to deal with the movers. You know, when we moved, and not gonna lie, like when we have cats, but now we have a dog office. But back then we had cats, and when we checked in initially, we didn't know that they didn't allow pets at the time, because they were a brand new hotel. They're like, literally, went to check in, and they're like, by the way, you have to sign this form that says you acknowledge that you've been notified that we do not allow pets and no smoking. And I'm like, oh shit. So like, oh, okay, well that sucks. But we, so, that was a fun stay, because of course, like, obviously, like, no pets allowed, whatever. But thankfully we were like, our main apartment was down the street, so it's like we had to, like, figure things out as far as, like, the cats went, and with us staying somewhere or whatever. But this time, me and my kiddo, when we checked in and we got our stuff in the room and all that fun stuff, we went out to go do a pickup, because we were looking at some of the places that we could DoorDash, because there's one place that we really like that they're open 24 hours, and they have humongous chicken tenders, and the fries are halfway decent, and they usually do, like, they have, like, these fried mushrooms, like the breaded fried mushrooms or whatever, that you can get those and dip them in ranch or whatever. So, like, and really good desserts too. So we were gonna order from them, but in order for them to deliver, because I was tired of shit, I'm like, can we have them deliver? And it was like, for delivery it's gonna be an hour and 45 minutes, or you can drive 15 miles away. And I'm like, why is it 15 miles? There's one down the like 2 exits away, like 4 miles away. But for some reason, the one on DoorDash was coming up. It was one of their other locations coming up. Like, it was gonna take like 20 minutes to drive to them. And I looked at my kiddo and I was like, I don't think we want to wait an hour and 45 minutes for delivery. I think we should just go pick it up. What do you think? And she's like, yeah, I'm kind of starving, so and it's already 2:30. Here, it's already 2:30 in the morning. Let's go ahead. Let's just go get it. I'm like, all right, cool. So I put the order in, and we started making the drive. It took us like 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get there, and we pull up to this, because it's like 615 Pizza and Pasta or something. So if you're in Nashville, they're a pretty good place. They're pretty. I don't know if they're open 24 hours or if they just open late. They stay open all night pretty much, because basically I've ordered from them as late as like 5 a.m. when we lived back there, whenever I was working with my last carrier back there. And on my days off, like, I would stay up late or whatever to try to keep the same schedule. And so it'd be like times like 4 or 5 in the morning. Apologies. But there'd be times like 4 or 5 in the morning that I'd be having, food delivered, get some chicken tenders and fries or whatever, So when we pull up, I go in there to check in, and of course you got to show your little barcode on your DoorDash app. So I was like, I showed my order. I'm like, yeah, I'm here to pick up an order for Christopher or whatever. And they looked at the thing and they went and pulled the ticket. They're like, oh shit, can you give us like 10 minutes? Sure. I was like, you guys forgot, you guys didn't catch it. Like, no, we didn't see the order come in. We're sorry. I'm like, no worries. I was like, yeah, I'll just go hang out outside my truck. Like, we're really sorry. I'm like, no worries. I was like, as long as we get our food hot, fresh, hey, we're not really picky right now. As long as we don't get the wrong food, and as long as it's it's fresh, and we don't get sick from it, whatever, and we So it's funny, like, because we get chicken tenders, and we're a big ranch family, so anytime we're getting stuff like chicken tenders, fries, whatever, we're like, can we get lots of ranch? And I'd ordered a cheesecake, and my kiddo had ordered the Oreo cheesecake. She's like, I'll try that. She does. It's funny, she did. My kiddo is very odd when it comes to cheesecake, because like she got cheesecake one time, like a couple weeks back, and she was like, she gave the rest, like she took a couple bites, she gave the rest to my wife. She goes, it's just weird. It tastes good, but it's too much. Like it still tastes like cheese. I was like, well, Bug, it's cream cheese. It's not dairy. It's not cheese. It's cream cheese. She goes, yeah, but it still tastes like cheese. And that's really weird. I'm like, I don't think it tastes like cheese. I was like, you put cream cheese on bagels, and you enjoy that. I was like, she goes, yeah, it's just weird. I'm like, okay. But she's like, oh, but Oreo cheesecake, I'll try that. But, at least worst case, if I don't like it, look, I guess I'll know who will end up eating it. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I'll take it. I ain't gonna argue. So we get our order, and of course, like, we have the tenders, we both have fries, I have my cheesecake. They didn't give us any ranch, and no ranch at all, and not even one cup for each thing. It's just like literally, they gave me ranch for my mushrooms though. So I had ranch in that, even though I put a note when I ordered saying, can we please get lots of ranch for both orders, thank you. And didn't get ranch for either room. And then I got my dessert, and then instead of her Oreo cheesecake, they gave her chocolate cake. So I joked with her, I was like, well, at least we know you eat your dessert, because we know you like chocolate cake. She goes, yeah, pretty much. Then we do the 20-minute or whatever drive back to the hotel, whatever. And then the weird thing is we figure by that point it's damn near 4 o'clock, and we're like, all right, let's heat up our food and let's eat. And we're trying to get the TV to work. The TV's like, oh, it's not connected to an internet or to Wi-Fi or whatever. Connected to a Wi-Fi network. I'm like, the hotel TV is not connected to anything. Like, what the fuck? So it's giving us the option connect it or use the mirror option on your phone if you want to stream something from your phone to the TV, whatever. I'm like, all right, how do I do that? So I'm trying to do that, and of course, I got my phone to connect to the TV, but then it was only playing audio. It wasn't showing video at all, so I was hearing the show that I was trying to project to the TV so we could watch something, while we eat our food. And I call the front desk. And that's the other thing too. They have a vape shop next door that used to be a Sonic. And when I checked in, they actually gave us parking, a parking pass to hang in our, hang in the front of the windshield. It said, yeah, we pay for parking over at the vape shop because our parking lot is pretty tight. So you can park over there, just have this in your windshield, and it'll have your license plate number on it and your room number, and blah blah blah. And as long as you have that displayed, you're fine. You can park over there. I'm like, oh, cool, all right. I was like, I don't mind because it's not a very, it's kind of a short walk from the hotel over to that lot, so it's not a big deal. Versus all the spaces at the hotel are pretty tight, so it's with the truck, I tried to back in between 2 cars, and I could get in between them, but I backed in, I'm 6 inches from the car next to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go park over at the vape shop. I didn't want to park here, this is too small. A lot of these cars that were in the hotel parking lot didn't know how to park anyway. They're on the line. I'm like, you're not even in between the lines. You're on the line, so I'm right next to you. And there's no way in hell unless I climb out my window that I'm gonna get out of the truck. So yeah, I think I'll just park over here where I know that there's, because at the vape shop, the parking spaces are like really wide, so it's like I was between the lines and I still had a foot and a half between me and the lines on each side. I'm like, this is awesome. I can live with this. So we're eating our food. I'm trying to get the TV to work, and I'm calling the front desk, you know, to ask them, because I'm like, how do I? And I was like, hey, how do I connect to your guys' Wi-Fi? Like, what's the Wi-Fi password? Oh, it's really simple. It's this, all lowercase. Okay. And so I connected my phone to the Wi-Fi network and was trying to figure out how to get the TV to connect. I called her back in. I'm like, yeah, is there anything special I got to do to get the TV to connect? Because it's not showing anything. She goes, well, there's actually a little square on the bottom left side. And I'm like, I'm not seeing it. And she goes, I can come up there, but you're going to feel really stupid if I do. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, I can come up there and it's pretty easy. I can show you how, like, where to get the TV to work or whatever. And, you know, you're going to feel pretty stupid if I come up there. And I'm like, go for it. I was like, I've done everything. I've looked everywhere. I've tried to mirror my phone to the TV. I was like, I'm cool with feeling stupid. If you can come up here and I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, that was kind of. She came up, started flipping through stuff, and all of a sudden she's like, well, shit. This is not what this is kind of weird. Like, normally it's right here. And I kind of laughed and I said, well, I was hoping that you would make me feel stupid. She goes, I figured I was gonna, but you know, it, like, obviously, for whatever reason, it normally shows up right here when we go to this one channel. That's the guide channel. Usually that shows up. And I'm like, well, I was like, I saw that, but again, it just shows no data or no signal or whatever. She was, yeah, it's really weird. I'm really sorry about that. Like, no worries. I was like, it's not a big deal. I was like, so then, you know, she left. She's like, I'll go make a note in your account or whatever, and or, you know, on your reservation or whatever. And I'll you know, talk to the management, whatever, see what we can do. I'm like, okay. She goes down there and she calls up to the room, and this, you know, of course I try to answer the phone, but you know, nobody was there. And then she calls my cell, and she's like, oh yeah, I just was looking at your reservation. I see that you're with us for a couple of nights. What we can do is we can actually move your rooms, you know, so that way we can get you out of that room and get you in a room where the TV works. And I was like, well, is it possible for possibly getting like a discount? Like getting refunded part of our stay, because instead we're paying over $400 for 3 nights. Can we get part of that back by any chance? You know, because I said we kind of settled in. I said the TV's not a huge deal. Like, I'm not too worried about it. I said I was like, I'm mostly here to R&R. So I'm down here to see my doctor, but I'm also here to basically, I'm gonna sleep and just relax. Don't really have a whole lot planned. I can watch stuff on my phone or my computer, you know. I was like, that's not a big deal. She was, yeah, it's possible to get a discount, but you'd have to come down here when management's around. So, okay. So, and by this point, when we're talking, I think it was like almost 5 a.m. at this point. And so me and my kiddo, we went ahead and we reheated our food again, because, you know, of course, we had to eat a little bit before she came up, but we were working with her and reheated our food. I looked at my kiddo because I was like, well, I totally intended to go to church this morning, to the church I used to go to down here in Nashville, but obviously it's not going to happen, because I'm not going to get 4 hours of sleep second day in a row, go to church, come back. I was like, screw it. I was like, obviously, it's just, that's not going to happen. I was like, but breakfast starts at 6. I was like, what do you think about us just killing time for the next 45 minutes? And at 6, we go down and we you know, we each put a plate together, you know, and we just bring it back up and put it in the fridge so we can eat it like this afternoon when we wake up. That way we can go to bed and not really worry about setting an alarm. Just go to bed and get sleep. And wake up when we wake up, and we'll have food already. Like, she's like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like a plan, Dad. I'm like, okay. So, 6 o'clock, we both, you know, threw our shoes back on, went downstairs. They had scrambled eggs, and, sausage patties, gravy, biscuits. I'm trying to remember. I think they had. I don't think they had hash browns. If I can remember correctly, I think they had yeah, they had like the breakfast potatoes or something. So then cereal and all that stuff, whatever. So we both made a plate, brought it up. They had, of course, juices and whatever. So we both grabbed cranberry juice. We put everything in the fridge, and then we both literally like knocked out pretty quick. Like it's probably like 6:15 when I think we were both out. We were both passed out in like 5 minutes. And I woke up at like probably almost damn near 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She had been awake for like an hour or so, and she was getting ready or whatever. And I was like, "So what's the plan?" Because she, of course, she had friends down there. It's like, "Oh, my friend Ace, they're gonna pick me up or whatever. I'm gonna hang out." I'm like, "Are you staying the night with him, or are you coming back here?" She goes, "No, I'm coming back I'll be back here tonight with you, whatever." I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, when she left, I was like, make sure to have your room key with you, And she goes, "What are your plans?" I said, "I have no plans." I said, because my appointment's tomorrow afternoon, so I was like, "I'm literally just chilling out tonight." She goes, "All right, cool. Well, don't have too much fun, Dad." Like, I'm not gonna. I was like, "I'll have fun not doing shit." So I ended up. I think I went, grabbed a shower, and then I went ahead and got dressed or whatever. Cause I was still like when I slept in, it was just like literally just lounging around the hotel room. And I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and actually get regular clothes on, And when I say about how like earlier when I mentioned that there's always something that you forget, I realized what it was. Because I'd had like, I'd packed shirts, I packed pants, socks, had my basically had obviously shoes, had my slip-on closed-toe shoes. They got like open back or whatever, so that way there's still. I love flip-flops, but up here in Missouri, it didn't take me long in the wintertime to, cause I didn't want to have to put on boots every time to go out, because basically I had boots and I had flip-flops. So it's like, well, let me at least get ones that I can, where your foot is still protected, but you're not having to like, hey, I have to throw on these shoes or boots that I have to like lace up and tie. I hate that one off. I like to throw on the boot. Like right now, what I do is basically like I'll throw on the boots. One of the construction vehicles off to the side of, off to my right hand side, basically still had the lights flashing, everything else is pitch black, and they just kind of looked weird, just off in the ditch or whatever, just like yellow lights blinking. And I'm like, someone's gonna come back to a dead battery tomorrow or later on today, I guess. But so, but I had packed my shoes, socks, pants, shirts. I brought the toiletries with me. I have a little goat because one of the times when we made a trip, I think it was when we actually did our trip out this way before we moved out this way. We came out here, stayed for like 10 days or whatever. Literally in the hotel that's like 2 exits away from where we live. I bought a duffel bag, one of those collapsible ones, and I bought one of those little toiletry little pouches that you can put like your like razors, your like travel size, like shampoo, conditioner, like toothbrush, toothpaste, all that stuff. So I basically had that with like medication, and I kind of had planned. I thought I had planned ahead as best I could because I knew I was only going to get a couple hours sleep before doing the long drive in Nashville. So before I went to bed, I was putting things like some of the sleep meds that I use, like the Unisom and the sleep gummies, whatever. Literally putting like, because you take like 2 of them. So I was putting like a couple baggies that I had like 6 of one med, 6 of a different a gummy. You know, I had like my regular prescription meds. I had those bottles in the you know, in the little the travel pouch and stuff like that. Planning ahead because I thought I'm probably gonna forget these when I only got a couple hours sleep and I'm packing before leaving to go ahead and roll out. I'm probably gonna forget these, so I'm gonna go ahead and do them now. So thought I did everything. I didn't even get that feeling like I forgot something. I actually thought I had gotten everything. But I'm getting dressed, you know, not knowing what I'm gonna do. Figure, well, I'll get dressed. Maybe I'll go sit out. Oh, that's one thing too, as far as the no pets thing. When we went back to the truck to go ahead and go pick up food, we walked up because the area that we would come in to go to our room. It's like you come in the back of the hotel, and our room was like, you know, 2 rooms, like 3 rooms down on the left. It was like, okay, cool. This is actually really cool. It's like right there. We don't have to like go through the whole hotel and go out the front or something. But we walked out the back to go pick up food, and right away we noticed like a little smoking area out in the back parking lot, and there's a grass area that had like a little dog walk station, but they had like the poop bags that you could use, and we're like, it's a pet area back here. We're like, huh, I guess they allow pets now. That's interesting. I was like, well, I guess if we come down with the pup, you know, if we bring the pup on a trip with us, you know, we can actually bring her down here to stay in this hotel or whatever. So that's cool. So, I'm getting dressed or whatever, and I'm digging through my bag, and I'm like, you know, I managed to bring, you know, obviously I had the boxer briefs, base got underwear, you know, had the pair that I had worn when we did the drive, and I had one other pair, but I really didn't bring enough pairs. Like I didn't pack underwear as much as I should have. And I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking when I only grabbed one extra pair. You know, 'cause I needed at least 3 or 4, you know, before getting back home. So I was like, well, shit. I had everything else. I was like, well, crap, that's not gonna work. So I was like, well, I guess I know what I'm doing tonight. So I had to basically run to Walmart and grab a few things. So I grabbed a 3-pack, you know, boxer briefs at Walmart, plus got some like travel razors, got some shaving cream, whatever. And because I also didn't bring a razor, so I thought, well, I'm either not going to shave it all while I'm down here, or I'm just going to go ahead and get some disposables, whatever, that I can use like once or twice and toss them. So got those, and some like 24-hour heartburn medicine or whatever, and stuff like that, just a couple things. And then kind of laughed about it, like, yeah, that was the one thing I forgot, and I didn't even think about it until I got to Nashville and was like, huh, I don't have this. Well, fuck. So, but back as far as in the room when they were calling us about like moving rooms or whatever, I ended up talking to I went down Sunday afternoon or whatever. Actually, before I left to go to Walmart, I went down and it was like, went to the front desk and was like, hey, yeah, we just checked in last night. You know, we had this issue with the TV or whatever, and they were saying that we might possibly be able to get a discount. You know, and she was like, well, since you booked with another party, like through Expedia or something, you didn't book on our website, we can't do anything about the bill. I was like, yeah, but I paid you guys directly. Because you guys called me and I gave you my information over the phone, and you guys ran my payment over the phone. She goes, yeah, but the reservation itself is through them, so we can't change the cost of it. You know, like, all right, no worries. You know, she's like, well, but we can upgrade you for free to a king suite if you want. I was like, I was like, well, the only problem is like I have my kid with me, and she has, we have two queens, and the king suite where I'm fine with it. She would go from a regular queen bed to a pull-out bed. Not gonna be as comfortable as the queen. I said she would be really happy about that. I don't really want to change rooms, so we'll just stay. She goes, well, here's what I can do. I can give you 15% off your next stay. Oh, okay, I can live with that. That's so. Gave me a little business card or whatever, and basically, had a name written on it. I said, so do I? Like, how do I do the 15% when we stay next time? She was just calling just mention my name. It's written on the card, and that way, they'll know who you're talking about. They'll know to apply the discount. Like, you have a year to use it. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, because I was like, we'll definitely be back. Because just sleeping that first night in the room, I looked at my kiddo. I was like, I think we should stay here when we come down here. Anytime I come down here, because I was like, that bed, like the room, there's no limit on how low you can drop that thermostat on the wall. I had to set it like 64. My kiddo, for whatever reason, I guess at one point got up and dropped it to like 55, and I got up in the middle of the night. Or I got up at some point, I kind of was like, I checked the thermostat and saw it was so low, because I was like, woke up like teeth chatter and whatever, even though I had like double layers of I had like the hotel blanket plus my king size comforter, and I slept great. I wasn't cold too much, but when I woke up, I immediately bumped that thermostat up to like 70 just to let the room get normal temp for a little while. It was like, we'll drop it down cold again when we go to sleep. But I was like, man, I slept fucking amazing. She goes, I did too, man. These beds are comfortable, and I love that we can make the room cold. I'm like, yeah, because I sleep great when it's like the room's nice and cool around me, and I can be like buried under the covers. So we'll do the fact that they also allow pets and whatever, that right there. I'm like, yeah, this is, we're definitely gonna stay here again. This is nice. So we got up Monday, and I think we meant to do breakfast that day, but we both, because they stopped breakfast pretty early. It's like 9 a.m. and I'm like, can you at least go to like 10:30? Because 9 a.m. is a little bit early, man. But I think I woke up at like 11, and she said she woke up at like 10 or whatever. I was like, I thought about getting up and going down for breakfast, but I was like, nah, it's all good. I ain't worried about it. It's all good. So like, she hung out with her friend Monday night or Sunday night. And then Monday night, she went and stayed the night over with another friend. And then I was gonna basically, she packed up, for the most part, packed up her stuff in the hotel and put some of her stuff in the truck. And then I just had to bring her bag and whatnot out to the truck when I was checking out Tuesday morning or whatever. And then come pick her and the friend up. Kind of, basically, we didn't, it's not. They use the word like, hey, we're gonna kidnap my friend, but it was basically arranged between my wife and my kiddo's friend's parents, to where they're gonna ride back to the Kansas City area with us and stay with us till the end of the week, until my kiddo went back to school because she was on spring break, and then her parents are gonna fly her back on Sunday. So I was like, all right, that's fine, So Monday she was over there with her other friend. I went and did my VA appointment, and then I met up with a friend and his roommate, and we went out to this place I'd never been to before. Had these burgers and fries or whatever. It was a pretty good place. A little shout out to our friend Willow, and hung out with him for a little bit. Saw, got to see their apartment. Got to meet his dog. Apparently his pup has the same harness, same harness that our dog does. he went to go walk her or whatever, and I was like, oh man, you weren't lying. That is the same exact harness that Nala has. He's like, yep. So then, we get back here. I pick the two of them up. But I pick the two of them up. We get back here, and our pup that we adopted, is still, if you, I think I had mentioned it on the Raw Chat segment with Dave and the other truckers. We realized when we adopted her, she came from an abusive household or whatever. We don't know what kind of abuse. We don't know how bad it was. We just know it was pretty bad because there were certain issues where we tried to get her out of the car and she would try to bite us, and we're like, but then she'd lick, she would apologize and I'm sorry. It's like, okay. Normally, if I adopt a dog and it bites me, I'm gonna be like, fuck you, you're going back to your previous owners, or probably gonna be put down or sent to a shelter or something, because it's like, you're gonna bite me, I'm not gonna take you in the house. I can't trust you. But she would nip, and then she would want to cuddle, and it's like we saw the sweet side of her. Like, well, she's a very sweet girl, but I don't know why she's doing such and such. Like, she doesn't like this part of her body touched, like her neck or whatever, or her face. I don't know. But, so, we were still working with her at that point, and still are, of course. But a day after we got home, my kiddo and her friend were on the couch, or my kiddo was on my wife's chair, and her friend was over on the couch sitting a little down near where I sit. But I was gonna try to get the dog in and be like, well, let's get the dog in and have her on the couch with us while we watch this movie or whatever, so we can hang out. And of course, she jumped on the other side of the couch, and then she was right beside her friend. I was like, well, I'm gonna try to move her because I don't want to have an incident. I tried to get I wasn't even trying to grab her. I was had my hand on her scruff, and I wasn't really pulling her. Now, come here, girl, and I tried to adjust her, and she, of course, completely freaked out, snarled and snapped and literally climbed down, literally clomped down really hard on my left hand. And normally if she would try to dip or whatever, she usually wasn't I'm gonna bite you, but it's I'm gonna bite you a little bit, and we would grab her lower jaw or grab her mouth or whatever, kind of as a a deterrent, no, we're not doing that. And usually she would pull back and stop. This time I tried to do that, and instead of pulling back, she bit down harder, and so had a really, really tight bite on my hand. And in the process, of course, I managed to get my hand away from her. I got my other hand clamping down on her entire mouth, her top and bottom jaws or whatever. And basically pinned her to the couch, and look at her in the eye when I had her pinned, and she, of course, freaking out, I'm looking at her are you done? What the fuck? I was bad girl, blah, blah, blah. And then she kind of, she calmed down, and I basically, halfway lifted her back up with the handle on her harness. Halfway carried her over to her kennel and got her in the kennel, and I kind of shook the kennel a little bit, lay down. Which, of course, she, because she knew, she could probably see the look in my face, but I'm glared at her and lay your ass down. So she laid down. I closed the kennel. I said, yeah, you're gonna stay in there for a little bit. I was like, you're the time out. You're a bad girl. We do not bite. That's very bad. Very bad. And then, of course, I looked down at my hand and realized I'm bleeding everywhere. I was like, fuck. My kid was like, you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. She got me really bad. My hand is fucking bleeding right now. Went and had to clean my hand off or whatever. And, you know, over the course of like a few days, you know, and of course I think because of because of that incident, anytime she kind of might get nippy, it's almost like she reacts, she goes to nip, but then she immediately looks away like, oh, well, I better not do that. And I'm just like, Nala, and she looks away like, oh shit. Because you can tell she reacts and she almost does it, but then she's like, I'm like, Nala. And she's like, oh, yeah, I better not. Like, yeah, because you remember what happened last time. Like, you got pinned, you got put in the kennel. It was not a good day for you. We do not bite in this household. Like, if you bite us, you're going to get in trouble. You know, we know you're a sweet girl. We know you know better because you literally stop yourself. And then you start licking. So, yeah, it was interesting. And I wasn't sure how bad it was until, like, over the next couple of days, like, you know, I couldn't bend my thumb very much, and I couldn't make a complete fist. Like, I could only bend my fingers like halfway. So it's almost like I felt like maybe my fingers are jammed. You know, I was worried that maybe there's a fracture or that my hand is broken. But I was like, well, it doesn't hurt like hell, so maybe it's just, you know, maybe nothing's broken, maybe it's just because of the muscle, whatever. I mean, you know. So I just I was taking pain meds and stuff, and trying to do little hand exercises, touching my thumb and my thumb to all my fingers as best I could, which I'd get to like my third finger, then I couldn't touch my thumb to my pinky or whatever. And I was like, man. So, you know, that was part of why I really, like, I meant to, on my 2 weeks off, I really meant to get on the computer and try to do some writing, but then I was like, yeah, but one of my hands is kind of fucked up, so can't really write too well. Can't really type if my hand is kind of like not working properly or whatever. So that was interesting, you know, but her friend was with us until Sunday. It was interesting though, because like, I guess kind of you didn't realize how picky she was or whatever. Because we tried to go to a movie that Friday, the Friday that she was with us or whatever. And, she didn't want to go. Like, no, it's too scary. I'm like, okay. So we were like, well, would you want to go to one of the other movies at that theater while, me and my wife, the wife or whatever, like we go and see, we were trying to see that Ready or Not 2, the sequel to Ready or Not, Here I Come or whatever. Don't know if you guys are familiar, but you guys should really check it out. It's a great movie. I didn't realize it had a sequel until recently. But my kiddo went down, to the game room or whatever. And she came back up. She said, well, she looked at all the other movies, and I was like, no, I don't think I like any of them. We're like, okay, well, this sucks, because we really wanted to go see the movie, but we didn't want to just us go and leave her at the house by herself or whatever, because she didn't want to go. And it was like, that would be kind of a dick move, so we'll just go later. It's like, alright, because my kiddo, she really wanted to go see movies. Like, she really wanted to go see Ready or Not. But it's like, no, it's going to be too scary. It's like, okay. Alright. And then but there's other things too, like, even trying to go out for food or whatever, and, didn't want to have what we were having. Always wanted me to buy her Monster. It's like, okay, that's fine, whatever. I mean, it was a decent week. It wasn't like it was a bad hangout week or whatever. It was just interesting, so when they left, my kiddo, obviously they're still friends or whatever, but I joked about, like, so when we go down, my doctor wants to see me, because of my medical numbers with the A1C, the diabetes and whatnot, some of which was actually worse than last time he saw me, so he was like, put me on the higher dose of the Ozempic shot and wants to see me in 3 months instead of 6. I'm like, man. I'm like, Doc, you realize, like, I'm up near Kansas City, like, I have to travel down here to see you. Yeah, I know, I gotcha. So, but you know, I still want to see you because obviously, like, your numbers are worse. Like, we want to check a few things. And we want to get you on the higher dose. See where you're at 3 months. See if we have to switch to like Manjaro or Wegovy or one of those other ones. I'm like, 'cause I requested, hey, well, if I don't see weight loss with what I'm currently doing, is it possible to get on one of those other ones? Because I had results in the past before I started DC at the VA. I got on Manjaro for like 3 or 4 months, and I had, I had actually see weight fall off pretty quick, and I, see the difference in like the appetite and stuff like that. And he's like, well, we're gonna go to the 2 milligram first, and then we're gonna go. Then obviously we'll check you in 3 months, and we'll see where you're at, and if we have to, we can probably get you approved on one of these other ones. Sorry about that, guys. Literally, in the middle of that recording, one of the Raw Chat peeps, my buddy Dave Goldberg, ended up calling me last night or whatever. I was like, oh shit, okay, So I had to go ahead and, went ahead and ended that current recording and figured I would just pick it up later or whatever. And I actually, my thought process, whenever I get a call in the middle of the recording, a lot of times, and I know in the past, at least with my previous phones or whatever, it would come out like really loud, like whoosh. But I listened to the tail end of that, the last recording or whatever, and you can just kind of hear where it switched from the Bluetooth headset, so you can kind of hear the background noise, me going down the road, obviously. So it wasn't really blaringly loud, so that's why, if you're listening to this now, then, went ahead, after hearing it myself, I thought, I might actually leave that in there, keep it, real and keep it real and authentic and whatnot, And of course, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a little bit of a struggle today, because, the entire family, well, at least a couple of us, like me and my youngest, stomach bug lately, which I might have had a little bit of a touch of it on Sunday, because I noticed, like, even though I felt okay, like, I didn't feel sick to my stomach or anything, but anytime I went to go where you had to go hit the bathroom, it was like, the kind where if you're not careful, you're gonna be cleaning up, having to do some mass cleanup after you're done, But I just thought maybe I ate something wrong or something, and or something didn't agree, so it was, But then yesterday, well, I guess I should say Monday, because now technically it's Wednesday when I'm recording this. Probably will get this edited and scheduled. It'll still show like it's posted on Tuesday technically, but the plan was to have it posted Tuesday, but I'm kind of thrown off a little bit by Dave's call or whatever, so that I never ended up getting around to finishing up the recording or whatever. Obviously, if I had already fully recorded it, I could have done it and kind of posted, but still had to finish it up, wrap it up, and all that fun stuff. So when I got home this morning, I thought maybe I was just hungry or something, because like I was on it was weird. I didn't feel, it's like, because I'm on the 2 milligram dose of the Ozempic, I didn't, it's like, I am noticing the drastic difference in how I feel compared to when I was on the 1 milligram. Because on the 1 milligram, like, yeah, I noticed a little bit, like sometimes I'd be, eating something that, normally could finish, but on the 1 milligram, there'd be times where I'd be eating something I normally could finish, and then of course I would feel like I was getting stuffed a little quicker, or you'd have to drink a little bit to, wash it down, whatever. But on the 2 milligram, I've actually noticed, not really feeling, hungry or whatnot, not having the biggest appetite, whatever. So with trying to make healthier choices, trying to be healthier and stuff, I'm not getting candy bars out here. Just trying to do water in my coffee, and still getting food at like Arby's and Hardee's at Love's. But literally tonight when I stopped though, I was doing the like Googling like what's the carb count for such and such at Hardee's or whatever. And it's like I'm not gonna see where I struggle with that is I fucking love fries, especially like Arby's. I love curly fries. Curly fries, I could eat those every day. I mean, I like regular fries too, especially if they're hot and fresh, especially if they're ones that are like the seasoned straight fries, whatever. But when you're diabetic and you're like, all right, I gotta watch the carb count because for anybody out there, if you're not a diabetic, I always thought that it was just sugar related. Like, oh, if you're diabetic, you just can't have like sweets or whatever because you're diabetic. Because I've actually known diabetics, or I've known people, like a former FedEx guy that I knew back there in Mount Juliet. He was one of the yard switchers. He had his own farm or whatever. So like I would, on occasion, get like some beef from him whenever he processes some of his cows or whatever. I'd be like, yeah, can I get such and such cuts, like some New York strips and some couple flake steaks, blah blah blah, But I don't remember. Yeah, I think he actually, if I remember correctly, I think he actually did deliver. So I was buying some steak from him, some ground beef, and some steaks and whatnot, and I think I got a couple roasts, and he actually delivered to our apartment one day, and so pulled up with his big ass truck or whatever, and brought the big ass, like we went out there, we had I had brought the kids out there with me because he had this big cooler that had all the steak or whatever, and so we all came out, grabbed a few packs, and I paid him, gave him the cash or whatever. And my wife, being a pastry, being a baker, pastry chef, cake artist, now a shift lead, so she's done all the restaurant food service, not all of them, but she's done a lot of the restaurant stuff, majority of it like pastry chef, whatever. So she had like cookies and some sweets, whatever. So she'll, of course, being who she is, she offered something like, hey, can I interest you in a cupcake or like I have cookies or whatever? And he's like, no, I can't, I'm diabetic. Like, I think that was before she and I both officially got diagnosed. So, but then once getting diagnosed, it's funny because like, basically I was told when I got diagnosed, and I had to talk. Like I got referred to a nutritionist, and she basically was saying that like, well, initially she was like, all meals you got to keep them around 30 grams of carbs. And I was like, oh crap, that's pretty hard to do. So basically she was, well, I mean, you can be a little flexible. It's between 30 and 50 grams. If it's below 50, you're like, it's not, you're still, that's still okay. Like, as long as it's not above 50, I was like, what about 55? That's not too much higher. She goes, no, it has to be, keep it below 50, 30 to 45 preferably, but if it's 48, it's not, okay, that's fine. All right, so, so I'm Googling, saying like, trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to order to eat tonight? And it's like, for like the 5-piece tenders from Hardee's, it's like 30, I think that was like 30 or 35, 33 or something grams of carbs from Hardee's or whatever, just for the tenders. And then of course I'm like, all right, well, I just searched for the fries by themselves and said how many carbs are in a one large fry from Hardee's. Like 60 grams for one, and that's just for the fries. So it'd be like, I think it was like, pretty sure it was 60. Because when I searched for, hey, how many grams of carbs are in a 5-piece with a large fry, it was like almost 80. And I was fuck. So I thought, all right, well, how many carbs are in like a 10-piece tender? And it said it was like 38 or something, like 40 or whatever. And I'm like, so technically, and I was like, well, how many grams of carbs are in the apple pies you get from parties? And I think each of those is like 30 grams. So okay. So technically, that's why I thought, well, they say, you know how they say that eat, like, it's better to eat like 5 smaller meals throughout the day instead of like 3 big ones. So I thought, well, you know, I can treat those kind of like small meals, kind of, even though they're not really meals, but you know, the pies are decent size or whatever. So I thought, all right, well, I could maybe get a 10-piece chicken tenders and then get 2 pies, you know, and you know, save the pies for like as I'm on my way back, like eat one and then an hour or so later, you know, eat the other one, you know, spread them out so that way I'm keeping it within that carb count, you know. But I go in there and he's like, yeah, we'll probably have enough for like a 5-piece. Oh, okay, you know. And I was like, I thought about it. I was like, you know what, fuck it. Let me go ahead and let me do the 5-piece and medium fry, please. And then 2 pies. So, and then got 2 packs of like the pistachios, the little single serve packs, or whatever. So it's like, I think there's like 6 grams carbs in each pack or whatever. So I was like, yeah, keep it. You know, I figured I wanted to find something that wasn't sweets, you know, but that wasn't really high in carbs either. Because you know, obviously get a bag of chips or whatever. But so I got the pistachios. It's like my goal eventually. And I keep yawning. the perks of being slightly under the weather, you know. But my goal eventually is to get a microwave for the truck and get on one of those like food subscriptions that you get like the prepared meals that get delivered to you, you know. So because they have ones that are like low carb option, you know, where you can have like high protein, high veggie, whatever, but you know, not a lot of like pasta and whatnot. So, and then that way I can just, you know, basically bring a meal out with me every day that I work, and I don't have to worry about taking it into a truck stop to heat it up. I can stop for fuel if I need to, or I could literally just stop for coffee, or hell, I even thought about that too, you know, having my coffee mug and making sure I have like, you know, water in the truck. And it's interesting when you're on a part of the road and it's like, you know, real loud. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't. But I even thought about, you know, technically I could really set it up in here and I could make my own coffee, whatever, a little single serve, whatever. But I get pretty, you know, free refills basically, you know, because of how much, you know, the Love's points and whatnot. So I figure stopping at least to get coffee, either when I fuel or whatever, you know, gives me a chance to get out and stretch, walk around a little bit, you know, get some steps. But at least having the, you know, the microwave in here and having meals I can bring out or whatever, me being able to be like, all right, I'm doing better food choices. The problem, especially, is like a big part of the problem at home is we're a big pasta family. We always have been, like Hamburger Helper or Help. You know, if we're not making Hamburger Helper, we always have like random boxes of different kinds of pasta. You know, we have what they call the penne pasta, which my kiddo calls them straw noodles. My wife gets a kick out every time she says straw noodles, and of course my wife's like, you mean penne? And she was straw noodles, penne, straw noodles, penne. I'm like, alright, you two. But my kiddo will make the the straw noodles with like Alfredo sauce or even regular tomato sauce, and then just a lot of cheese, and, you know, dice up some sausage in there and whatnot. She loves her straw noodles. Me, I'm a big fan no matter what, you know, pasta in general, but especially red sauce with Parmesan cheese or whatever. Like, that's why when I got diagnosed, I was actually really big on spaghetti. Like, I was literally doing that. Just kind of was like pretty much one of the most cost-effective ways of making meals for myself at the beginning of the week. Was I basically got like 2 or 3 boxes of spaghetti. And I made like a big batch of spaghetti, and I would usually have like multiple probably 3 or 4 of the really big containers that had the big sauce containers. Mix that all up. Fill, you know, 5 reheatable containers. Add Parmesan cheese on top. Put the lid on. You know, make 5 of those when I was working 5 days out there in Nashville. And then put them all in the fridge. Basically, I would heat that up, and that would be my meal when I was doing my swap in Illinois. And it's like, loved it. Always felt great. But then, of course, like I was still, you know, I was still getting like sugary beverages. You know, getting the occasional candy bar, or if I then stop to get a snack or something. And then I was diagnosed and was told that it's not so much the sweets. When it comes to being diabetic, it's actually a lot of it has to do with the carbs, and you want to, you know, watch the carb intake. And I'm like, well, that figures, because I love my carbs, man. So, FYI for anybody out there that if you're not familiar, now you are. You know, if you're not diabetic, if you're a big guy like me, or big, you know, big person in general, and you eat a lot of pasta and stuff, just be careful, you know, because could be spiking the blood sugar, bumping up your A1C really high, and basically putting you on the path to being diagnosed as a diabetic. So and I'll admit, I really don't like having to consciously, man, so I'm gonna have such and such, I'm this and this, because, you know, it's healthier. Because then basically after I eat, I find myself, you know, I find like you're not really as you know, full and satisfied as you hoped, you know. But that's when you drink water or whatever to kind of help, you know. So but so I get home today. Well, I'll backtrack a little bit. So on the phone with Goldberg, and of course we had I was talking to him, and then of course one of the other truckers, Chuck, joined us, and then at some point Janelle joined us. So it was like, and we weren't on a recorded call. I was like, it's kind of funny. I give Dave crap because like he'll call me on my regular phone line, and you know, we'll just be shooting the shit, whatever. And then like other drivers will jump in, and I'll give him crap afterwards after the call. Like, we'll have a pretty good conversation, and I'll be like, dude, that would have been a pretty awesome raw chat. He goes, yeah. I didn't think about it until after everybody started hopping on. I was like, well, shit. I was like, that's why we should just do the recorded one. If people pop on, then guess what? They're on the call. So, just taking a sip of my coffee. But so we were chatting for quite a bit, and of course I get back to the FedEx Hub back there in Kansas City, and Chuck had to go, so it was just me, Dave, and Janelle. And then somebody else popped on. I'm not sure exactly. It's a guy that I don't think I've ever talked to. Like, this is the first time that I might have heard his name before, but right now I can't even think of what it. But another driver that Dave knows, you know, popped on. So the 3 of them were talking, and I was trying to kind of bow out, trying to like, hey guys, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. I've gotta head home. I'll talk to you guys later. But the three of them are going back and forth, so literally it's like, and plus when I was sitting there at the hub, I'm like, I really don't feel good. And, you know, so I ended up just silently just, you know, exiting the room. I figured, you know, because most of the time if you have like 3 or 4 people on a call, a lot of times they won't even notice that one person's gone until a little bit later. Like, hey, I haven't heard anything from Chris in a while. Is he still here? Oh shit, he's gone. Wonder when he fell off. So I kind of just, you know, I just kind of stepped away. You know, I was like, I'll let you guys talk. But so I get to my truck and I'm heading home and I'm like, man, I feel like crap. I was like, I'm just like, I thought, well, maybe my, you know, because I'm not eating as much as I normally would. Like normally I have certain things. I stop at Arby's. Usually we get like mozzarella sticks and stuff like that. I like my curly fries, mozzarella sticks, sandwich, and get 2 turnovers. But the turnovers would be like, that would be what I would eat on the way back. Like I would eat one and then hours later eat the other one. Mozzarella sticks, I might hold off on those for a little bit and then eat those a little bit later. But but I kept it simple though. I literally only got the cordon bleu sandwich and the curly fries, and I did get a Mountain Dew because it's my first day back after 2 weeks. I was like, get a little extra caffeine to help or whatever. But on the way back from the hub this morning, it's like, I was like, I feel like crap. So I thought maybe because I'm eating less, because I'm not feeling as hungry after being on the shop. I was like, well, maybe my blood sugar is just like really low. I need to eat something. So I went to McDonald's to get the breakfast sandwich, and I was Googling on that too, because normally I do sausage McMuffin with egg and 2 hash browns. It's my go-to. But of course, I'm like, how many carbs is with a sausage McMuffin with egg and 2 hash browns? It was like 60 something. I said, well, how much is it with 1 hash brown? It was like 48. I'm like, okay. So that's within the budget of, or actually, well, I don't know, probably a little bit off on the numbers. Might have been like 43 or 45 or something with 1 hash brown, but it was like 57 with 2 hash browns. So I was like, yeah, so that's a little bit higher than what I should allow myself. So I'm gonna just go with the 1 hash brown. So I get home. Our new girl, our new husky, our new pup, instead of sleeping in the kennel lately, she actually's gotten comfortable with going down the stairs, and so she'll go down the stairs and she'll be on basically my daughter's bed, sleeping in her room. And so I'm like, yeah, but the funny thing is it's gonna be interesting because I believe her and her boyfriend are planning to get their own place down there where he lives down here, where he helps his parents out and stuff. So I'm thinking, like, you're getting the pup all used to sleep on your bed with you, and then you're not going to be here. But I do like that she's not having to sleep in the kennel, though, because we wanted to have her in the kennel for a while, like 6 months or whatever, before we tried to transition her to sleeping in the bedroom or whatever. Working on her, and, work through her issues, and like get her to be less nippy and more trusty, which she's slowly getting there. There's times where I think she just reacts. It's kind of funny because I was petting her. I think it was yesterday morning. Actually, I was randomly petting her, and she's had her eyes closed and kind of like her head leaning into me like she's enjoying her ear being scratched, and all of a sudden she does a little kind of like a little snarl, but she didn't even like. She still had her eyes closed and was like looked all content. I was like, oh, shut up. It's like, what are you snarling for? Because she didn't even, she didn't do anything. She just made that like she was gonna, like she was gonna try to playfully nip at me or something, but then she just didn't move. And I was like, hello. But so I get home and it's like, I basically had said, since she's been sleeping down there with my daughter, normally my routine when we first got her was she'd be in the crate, I would get home, and I would go ahead and get her out of the crate, take her out, we'd go on a walk, at least a half mile, whatever, and come back. And then usually, if nobody was up, I would take her back in and put her right back in the crate. Then my daughter, when she got up to get her son up, she would usually go ahead and let her out and put her on the line out back. But now, I kind of was like, well, hey guys, I'm going back to work, and since I was like, Allie, since she's sleeping downstairs with you a lot, if she's down, like if I get home early enough, I don't want to wake you up. So like, if I get home early enough, I'm not gonna worry about taking her out. I'll just take her out in the afternoon before I go to work. You know, like I'll let you handle that. You know, if she's upstairs in the crate, I'll take her out, of course. You know, but so I got home, you know, because I was moving slow, like not feeling well this morning or whatever. So I get home after getting some gas and some food. It's like 7:30 at that point. I'm like, all right, Allie's gonna have to get up to get her son up in like the next 20 or so minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and go downstairs. I'll get the dog out of her room and say, all right, come on, girl, let's go. And of course she's half asleep, you know, so I had to help her get off the bed. It's like, come on, girl, let's go. And until she just woke up, she's all stumbling around. I'm like, come on, girl, wake up, let's go. But went for a walk and hooked her up on the run line outside. Basically, you know, figured when, you know, whenever my daughter got her kid off to the bus or whatever, so I was like, hey, Allie, she's out of the line. Okay, cool. And I thought I felt, you know, aside from just feeling off, you know, I thought like energy level was just plummeted, you know. Aside from that, I thought I felt okay, you know, but my youngest one, she was in the bathroom, and when I was like, hey, Mom, she's like, ugh. I was like, what's wrong? She's like, I just threw up. I'm like, so no going to school today for you? I guess she goes, I don't think I can make it to school. Crap. I was like, well, she missed a day last week. She just basically, I came out and she was on her computer playing with her friends at like 11 a.m. or whatever, and I was like, why didn't you go to school? She goes, well, because I woke up not feeling well, so I just stayed home. I was like, no, you can't miss any more days of school. It'll be fine, Dad. It'll be fine. All right. Because I was like, well, I don't know. This is like your 12th day, so pretty sure they said if you missed any more days that you would have to come back next year and repeat the semester. You know, so I actually went online last week, and I literally was able to get her a doctor's note. You know, paid $25, and I put in her name and what was going on with her and stuff, nausea, vomiting, whatever. And so basically got a doctor's note by a certified doctor, you know, that's licensed in Missouri. So I was like, oh, all right, you know, printed that off, gave it to her to give this to the teachers or whatever, and emailed the academy or whatever. Basically was like, hey, so she's, you know, not feeling well, got a doctor's note, she'll give that to you guys when she comes in. I even gave her 2 days. I basically you know, when I did the doctor's note, I had them, it was like a Monday or something, I had her set it up to where she could go back Wednesday. So it was like Monday and Tuesday and then return Wednesday. And I'm like, so after that, you gotta go back to school. She goes, okay. I was like, so you got like 1 month left till you fucking graduate. Come on. You're so close. And yet, then sick again, and then sick today, missing school. And I was like, well, so I didn't go online and do a doctor's note. I'm like, I don't want to pay $25 again to get you another doctor's note. Because, you know, it's getting expensive here, you know. Because then, you know, end of the week, she'll do her chores and want me to pay her, you know, her allowance or whatever. And I'm like, I just paid for 2 doctor's notes for you. So, that's like, and it's more expensive if I were to take her to, like, the urgent care to have her seen and get an actual doctor's note. Because then that's like $185 or whatever. It's like, man. When she was actually up pretty much throwing up since like 3 a.m. I got home on a Sunday or whatever. and I had like a training appointment at the Petco with the dog, and my plan was to get home, crash, get up at like 12, be up for a couple hours before taking her to her appointment. But I got home and my kiddo basically was she's been awake since 3, and she basically was like, I try to sip water and I can't keep it down, projectile vomiting, blah blah blah, every couple minutes, dry heaving a lot now because I don't have anything left. And like, so then I'm like, well shit, of course my wife's dead of the world. And I'm like, great, okay, well I guess I am gonna take you to see a doctor, because I don't know, I want to make sure that it's not just, or I want to make sure that it might hopefully just be, you know, a touch of a stomach bug, but not a like a full on, like something bad, like a virus or something, you know. And you know, so I was like, but can you make it? You know, like, do you think you'd be okay to make it to the doctor though? She goes, I don't know. I was like, so I don't want to have to clean vomit up out of my truck, because that would really suck. She was, I can bring a bucket. I'm like, okay. I was like, that's okay. Let's do it. And so she was having the hot flashes, and the cold flashes, and whatever. So like that day, it was actually like, I think it got down to like 25 or 22 degrees or something. And she was in shorts and a t-shirt and had a blanket wrapped around her. And I'm like, you don't want to put on anything else? She goes, no. Because I literally, like, if I put something else on, I'm going to be like roasting, but then all of a sudden I'll be freezing. And so I'm just, you know, I was like, all right. So get to deal with the doctor's notes and stuff, you know, too many times, which I'm like, you're so close to finishing school, come on. The joys of parenting, I swear. You know, it's like, especially being the main, you know, the breadwinner or whatever. It's like a lot of stuff that's getting done, getting taken care of is me taking care of it. And it's like, man. My wife does a lot, of course, you know, but it's like, I'm trying to figure out how to make things happen, you know, getting us to do some credit repair, so that hopefully within 6 months we could be worthy to actually get a mortgage on our house that we're renting right now, because with the property management and stuff, they have a rent-to-own type thing. We can get on a 12-month rental contract with them, with the intention to buy either anytime in between then or right at the tail end of that. And, you know, so getting that process started, you know, doing what I gotta do, because, you know, making stuff happen versus like, you know, kind of like backtrack, or kind of like venture off a little bit, kind of like to go off on a tangent. You know how I always say, like, always moving forward, we gotta, you know, only fail if we quit, give up, and walk away. So it's like, no matter what you want to do in life, we gotta be the ones to make it happen. Too many people out there are, you know, they're basically the ones that, you know, you hear them comment like, oh man, someday, oh man, I'm like, man, I can't wait till I have my own business or own a house, or, you know, or they'll be envious with others. Like, my wife, with her previous job, she would come home and this coworker that she worked with, that really wasn't that great. It seemed like a kind of like a little bit of a bitch from what it sounded like. That's kind of the way she treated my wife, whatever. Kind of like the high horse, like she was better than everybody. Kind of, she would make comments to my wife about, like, oh yeah, you know, complaining about the fact that they had 3 houses and they had an issue with one of the houses. Like, oh, we have to fix that stuff in our third home or whatever. And my wife's like, it must be fucking nice. Like, I just want one house. I just want to have, like, own one home. And I'm like, well, love, like, we're the ones that have to make that happen. She goes, I know. It's like, no point in complaining about it. Let's just actually make a plan on how to make it happen, you know? It's like she wants to have a food truck, you know, but you know, not really any plan for that except for what I'm trying to do. So I've kind of got, I've accomplished a lot, you know. There's been so many things over the course of the last 20 years that, hell, even get my Ram, you know, when I was wanting to get a pickup truck, you know, crew cab, whatever, and I was like, I didn't know how I was gonna do it because every place that I went to try to talk to you about, like, hey, what would it take? How much down would I need for such and such for this one truck over here? And they're like, oh, like 15,000 down. Oh shit, fuck you. 15 grand out of like an $18,000 price tag. So they would want 15 grand and I can finance 3 grand. I'm like, ooh, thank you so much, man. You guys are so generous, man. You know, you willing to finance the 3 grand of that? Oh man. But so I am gonna go. You know, I've actually heard a lot about the fact about that the vision boards actually work. I'll be honest, I've had my doubts about them, but I've actually heard through some of the podcasts I listen to, I've heard of people that actually, you know, they visualize what they want. You know, this is what I want to be. I want to accomplish this. I want to achieve this goal. And they would put that on this vision board and they'd hang it up on the wall. And then some of the things that they put on there were like, yeah, I totally didn't think that was going to happen. But then they ended up making it happen, and they were like, I don't know how I made it happen. I just somehow accomplished it. You know, I'm like 2 years later, I'm actually in that position with this company that I didn't think was going to happen, and yet, you know, it was on my vision board. She got them all marked off, and I'm like, so I'm like, you know what? I was like, I'm envisioning where I want to be in the next 2 years, and I'll have to get a vision board to actually like put everything in writing. 2 years from now, I plan to be the owners of our current home, or owners of a home, but probably our current home. You know, have a mortgage, and to have figured out by that point how to get me out of the job entirely and be home full time, and basically, you know, like home living off the passive income, you know, which right now I got a little over, you know, it's like I was able to upgrade the disability before moving up here, and then working on upgrading that even further, and then basically just have to, there's like another, you know, because I think when everything's all said and done, I'll be bringing in passively a little over 4 grand each month, so that I just need to get to the point where I'm another 4 grand on top of that. And basically that'll replace everything I'm currently doing plus them. So 2 years. So I'm going to say 2 years from April 1st. So April 1st, 2028. My goal is to be able to look back and say, look, back here April 1st, 2026. I projected that I would be mortgaged and that I would be home full time, be able to spend time with the fam, spend time with the pup, you know, lots of walks, working on my health, whatever. So, mark my words. So of course, I get home today, and of course, the youngest is like, you know, I threw up, oh man, fuck, all right. So, take the dog on a walk, and I try to go to bed. Of course, like, I woke up like 4 hours later. It's like I got to bed by like 8:30. Woke up at 12:45 with that feeling like you have to sit up in bed because you got like an air bubble in your chest. And you gotta sit up so you can burp. But I also felt like I was, you know, like kind of like that. Your mouth is watering, like you're, oh crap, am I gonna get sick? Because then I did have to go to the bathroom. It's like, crap. I thought I got a touch of it on Sunday. I thought that it would be that Monday I felt pretty good. I thought that was it. And of course, then, you know, Tuesday morning, dealing with it again. So dealt with that, sipped some water, tried to go back to sleep. Probably dozed off a little bit. I don't really think I actually fell asleep because I only had like an hour and a half till my alarm was gonna go off. So I think I got up at like 2:45 or whatever. Was tired, but actually, I guess laying down for as long as I did, I guess I it helped. It helped because I didn't feel as like nauseous or like I was gonna have to do the emergency bathroom run again. So I was like, all right, maybe I'm okay, you know. So got up, got my FedEx stuff on. My wife was out in the other room. Took the dog for a walk, grabbed my stuff. Like it's funny. I messaged my VA doctor to be like, "Hey, does the VA have you guys prescribe those dissolvable tablets at all that deal with nausea?" Because I said we've had quite a few occasions where like the stomach bug has come through our house. And he's like, "Yep, I just put an order in for you." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I told the family, like, "Yeah, well, we should be getting some nausea tablet, dissolvable tabs in the next couple days." I'm like, "Oh, cool." Because whenever I get a script from the VA, it's literally like it's like 3 months worth. So I had requested like, "Hey, does the VA have anything similar to like what Mucinex or whatever?" And I got this big ass bottle. It had like 200 pills in it. I was like, "Oh crap!" So I was like, "We're good for a while," but even though I'm not nauseous or whatever, it's like just it's still been off. Energy level not the greatest, and of course the figures when it happened is like the first day of my week, and so like I'm laying in bed feeling like I didn't know if I was gonna be able to work, and I'm like, I don't want to take another day. I mean, I wanted to take another day off, but at the same time I didn't, money wise. I already didn't work Saturday because of they didn't have a run, or they didn't have this run for me, so I just had to go ahead and come back from vacation on Monday. So fun times, guys, fun times. But anyway, gotta do what we gotta do. So feel like I do, and then trying to make conscious decisions and conscious efforts about the diet and whatnot. Like, all right, I really wasn't gonna get fries. Like, I was like, I'm just gonna get the tenders. And they're like, well, we can only do 5. And I'm like, I don't know if 5 tenders by themselves will be enough, but so I said, fuck it, I'm gonna go ahead and get the fries. Why not? But still making better choices, and not doing the candy bars or whatever, so or the sugary beverages too much, So all work in progress, But anyway, y'all, I know I've this with these 2 sections, 2 separate recordings or whatever. I know it's been this one's a long one, but thanks for hanging out there hanging in there with me and stuff. Keeping it real this week, and again, apologies for my couple week absence. The issue with the dog, with the dealing with a hand injury and stuff, and then of course having my kiddos friend over and stuff. I kept telling myself, oh, this would be a great time to actually go ahead and get some recording done, but then of course I had to do other stuff or whatever, and it's like, yeah, whatever, I'll just not worry about it, and I'll just get back at it when I'm back out here working, so, but to close it out, you know what I always say, guys, keep pushing forward, keep believing, believe you can, believe you will, and you're already halfway there, and then you just have to go out there and do it. We only fail if we quit, give up, and walk away. So as long as we continue to get back up and continue to try again, then you haven't failed. Let's see what else. That's a problem being with not really feeling well too. Is like mentally, I'm out here doing what I gotta do, but mentally I'm kind of like I keep blanking, going, what was I talking about? Anybody who wants to support the show, I would definitely appreciate it. Would not complain at all. Go to the Blodgett Show. That's BLODGETTSHOW.com/support. SUPPORT. Literally a donation link. You can donate $1 one-time donation. You can set up a recurring donation. Anything and everything would be appreciated. Would go anything basically would go towards helping hosting costs or whatever for the show and all that fun stuff. But on that note, you guys keep being awesome, keep believing. The stories haven't gone away. They're just right now things. Since I'm kind of trying to get back in the groove of things after having a couple weeks off, and of course either having the hand injury or being sick or whatever. It's like so. Anybody who wants to support, by all means, support, make things a little bit easier. I would definitely appreciate it and stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that I don't talk about, but also social media. You can find the show, follow us on Instagram at Blodgett Show Podcasts. You can also find Blodgett Show Podcast on Threads. Personal socials, I'm on Instagram as TNTruckerChris. TNTruckerChris on, I believe, Facebook and TikTok. And then X, I am on there as CEAZFreedom. And you can find me on YouTube, literally, at ChristopherBlodgett. I believe that's pretty much all the little social networking information. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with that. But enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe. Enjoy time. Basically just make the most of the time with your friends and family, your loved ones, whatever, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. Decide basically, or don't give up on your dreams. Make them happen. The only person that can do it is you. So, on that note, you guys have a good one. Sorry to ramble, because again, I'm sick, and trying to do my best, but it's tough when I'm like, I just want to sleep. But as I'm talking to you guys and sipping my coffee, But you guys have a good rest of your week, and I will talk to you on the next one. Have a good one.